Hey, it's Alice Klug. I am here on a very rainy day in Victoria, and it is, what, October 5th now? So I'm doing the September numbers for the end of the month in Victoria, BC. Really quick, I just did another video, so I don't want to do another long one, so bear with me. I'll just do the numbers real quick and just any kind of things I've come across this week. So, Victoria's sales for September 2018, there were 533 sales that went through. That's compared to last year at 640 sales. So that's about 16 or 17% less. So, consistently the sales are flatlining and they are not increasing as they were last year. They're going down slowly but surely. Listings, which kind of pleased me to see this, was that there is 1,165 new listings coming to market in Victoria, and last year there was 1,072 new listings coming to market. So it's kind of been trailing behind last year as far as listings coming to market in Victoria, and I've been waiting to see this number switch, because it's always just been a little bit less, you know, it's like not as many listings as last year, and it's kind of feeding that, oh, there's still not a lot of inventory, but now you're seeing that there's more people listing than there were last year, and I knew this was going to switch really soon, and so it's actually happened in September. October will be interesting, but as I said, my theory is that everybody sees these sales going down, and they're holding on to their properties thinking, oh, my property's going to keep going up in value, and it's just a barrage in the news of bad stuff coming through, you know. It's not good news, it's always kind of negative about the housing market now, and I think people are starting to get a little bit worried, and they're starting to, I guess, put a fire under their feet when it comes to listing their homes. So that's an interesting number to me. Active listings sitting on the market, they're at 2,646 active listings, and last year, what was it, 1,976. So that's almost 34% more than last year, and that's been consistent since I've been doing these updates. It's almost creeping up to nearly 35%, you know, and maybe it'll get there by December, but that's still a decent amount more houses on the market for people to look at, and the sales just aren't where they used to be. So anyways, the average, I'm not going to do the home price index because I feel like last time I did it and it didn't really indicate to me what people were actually paying for homes, like the most people that I see, or to get something reasonable. So I'm going to share for September, the average home sale price for Victoria locally, because I know people in Vancouver are watching this and from other areas that want to move to Victoria, but you know, when I say the average prices of areas, it kind of clumps it together with areas that are not what you would consider Victoria. And so this is like the local Victoria area, not like commuting an hour to get to work in Victoria. This is like, you know, central, so to speak. So the average home price in Victoria, just average home, is $920,000 roughly. So that's what you'd be expecting to pay for a decent home central to Victoria. In other areas like Langford where I live, or, you know, outlying areas, Sydney, the peninsula, that's at $705,000. And that seems fairly accurate, but mind you, those are like 70s style box houses. You're not getting like a nice brand new house. Like you're not getting a, you know, a super villain layer for that kind of money. You're just getting something that probably needs updating. And for $920,000, you're thereabouts for Victoria housing. You're still looking at doing some updating. Like, those are not fancy houses. So just remember that. Like, you'll walk into a lot of them and it's like oak cabinetry from like the 80s. You know what I mean? Still, some of them probably still have linoleum. So $1 million doesn't get you a lot downtown Victoria. And I just wanted to share that. Yeah, I'm seeing so many news articles that's basically saying housing affordability is at the lowest point since like 2008. In the past 10 years, it's the absolute worst that it's ever been. I'm sure if you're reading news articles, you're seeing lots of words like crisis and all that kind of stuff in the media, which is always great at producing a lot of fear, which maybe that's why people are listing, you know, people who follow the news really closely. What else do I have? Yeah, I also saw there was an article in the Times Colonist, which is a local Victoria newspaper, and they were talking about housing affordability, and Lisa Helps, the mayor, was saying that Victoria is the third least affordable place to live in Canada, which seems about right. I was looking at just mortgage affordability because we're hearing constantly, like I'm hearing in my meetings all the time, that the interest rates are going to go up. And so I was looking at this price for $920,000 in Victoria, and in my mind I'm thinking, because I don't have a short-term memory, I have a really good memory, and I remember way back when, like 10 years ago, when, you know, a $700,000 house, you'd be like, whoa, what do you do for a living? Like, how do you afford such a nice house? And seeing that an average house in Victoria is $920,000, I just did some poking around, because I feel like, am I the only one that remembers, like, the old prices of houses? And, you know, it just doesn't add up to me, and I feel like people who were making a certain amount back then paying for those mortgages are not really making all that much more now. And everywhere I look, I try to find like an honest representation of what people make in Victoria for the average income. And normally I see ranges between like $80,000 to $100,000 for the average income. And to me it just doesn't seem to ring true. And I don't mean that like, you know, oh, I'm not hanging out in circles where rich people are. Like, I talk to people who buy real estate all the time, but I don't really come across that many people that are that high of income earners in Victoria, especially. Like, if you don't live in Victoria, the one thing that you'd probably notice is that like a lot of people are working in retail right now. Like Trudeau saying the job growth has been amazing and all this kind of junk. Most of those jobs are retail jobs, and they don't pay much at all. You know, a lot of people are making $16 an hour, and if you live in Victoria, you know that that's garbage, and you can't live on that. And so, yeah, I was just looking, I took $920,000, and I was looking at what kind of income you'd need to be earning to be able to afford that. And because I'm not a mortgage broker, I don't sit down crunching numbers, I look at properties all day. So you would need $160,000 income per year and $150,000 down for 20%, because you need 20% with that price roughly. And that's on 25-year amortization. I'm sure you could go to a secondary lender or whatever and get a 30-year, but I'm just sticking with the conventional, like what the rates are for this day and age with 3-year term. You'd need about $160,000 to afford that average house in Victoria. So, I don't know about you, but I don't see a lot of people that can afford $160,000, or that make $160,000, sorry. So, when I'm looking at these numbers, and it's just, I still hear people saying that the market's going to rebound, and I hear realtors saying it a lot in my meeting, and they go, oh, you know, because they've been in the market a long time, and since like the 80s or the 70s, they just go, oh, it's just going to keep going up, don't even worry about it, and they just kind of like play it off like, oh, it's nothing. And I just think, like, you know, I looked at the house that I used to live in Esquimalt like 6 or 7 years ago. I used to rent. Oh no, it must have been longer ago, like 8 years maybe, and it's like doubled in price. It sold when I was living there, the landlord sold, and I lived through the sale, and I was, you know, sold off as a renter in the basement suite when I was younger, and that house sold for $360,000, and I recently saw it listed, and it was listed for like $850,000, and it's not in a great area. So it's just like, just to give you a point of reference how hilarious these prices are. The other thing that I heard, which kind of surprised me and scared me a little bit, is that, you know, Vancouver sales are down drastically. Like, what was the number? 43.5%. The sales that have gone through is down 43.5%. Like, that's getting to 50% drop in sales. Like, does anybody see this? Like, do you see the writing on the wall? I see the writing on the wall pretty clearly. There's also 38% increase in homes sitting on the market in Vancouver. So it's going to be a really, really interesting next 6 months, I think. But anyways, I don't want to yammer on. These are just the numbers, and I'm just sharing them because people are asking for them. It's kind of my day off, so I'm going to do some painting because, as I've mentioned, I am an artist, and it's coming up to Christmas, and Christmas is my busy time. I sell a lot of art in Christmas. So anyways, that's what I'm doing today. And yeah, the things that I've been hearing at my weekly meetings have been kind of funny and interesting. I'm hearing a lot of people and managing brokers saying that there's lots of fights going on behind the scenes of home sales. Lots of realtors getting into nasty fights and almost collapsing the deals. And, you know, my managing broker was kind of laughing about it because he says, oh, you know, the market's turning when? Because you haven't been having these kind of fights between realtors happening really, and now we're starting to see it because I guess things start to get ugly when the market turns. But I mean, I'm 32, but I haven't lived through a real estate bubble so far being a realtor. The last time we had a bubble basically was 2008, and I was 22, 23. And I remember it clearly. I'm just old enough to like have remembered and been working around people who were older and had lost all their investments and all these kind of things. So I remember how ugly it was, and you remember seeing the news and how distressing it was. And it's really interesting because I think we're rounding another, you know, corner like that, and we're coming to another stage that might look like that. And it's just, you know, if you're old as I am, or you're older than I am, it's just, do you remember how that was? It was pretty nasty, and it was kind of scary just to watch things and watch the news. So it'll be interesting to see where things go. But as I said, I have no idea, but you know what I suspect. But anyways, yeah. And if you follow any people who are, this is just like a side note, do you follow any people on YouTube who love to predict the financial markets and like not a housing crash, but an economic crash? And people talking about banks being insolvent and basically a currency reset and all these kind of things. Like, I like conspiracies. I don't believe them all, but I like to, it kind of gives me, like, I like to investigate things and to think like what if, or just entertain ideas. I really like that, and I do think that there's more going on around the world and in the media than you would see on the surface. There's a lot going on underneath, and I just think it's funny. But I've seen a lot of people, just because, you know, I've been watching videos, there's been these people that are bringing up that Economist magazine, I want to say it's from 1986, but I don't know. I'll put up a picture of it. But it was of a picture of a rising phoenix rising with burning US dollars underneath it, and it had a big coin, and gold coin around its neck that says 2018 and then 1010. Like 10 written in word and then 10 in numbers, and it said a new world currency or something like that was the title, was the headline, a new world currency, the phoenix rising from the burning US dollars, and it had 1010 2018 on a gold coin. And so people are theorizing, you know, oh, what's going on with 1010, which would be October 10th 2018, and they're theorizing, oh, is it the gold standard coming back and they're resetting the currency, or is it a Bitcoin gold coin? Which I have no idea, but I'm just, you know, I wonder if anybody's been watching that stuff, because I'm seeing it all over the place, because it's like October 5th and conspiracy theorists love to think like, you know, because it's like, it's not that crazy when you think, you know, they do a cover like that with such a specific date on it. It's like, why would you put that date on there? Like, if you know anything about predictive programming, it's like, I have little faith in the media these days, and, you know, like, it's been going on for decades, but that one's just one that's like, people have been talking about it for years, and now it's like, oh, the day's coming. But anyways, I'll put it up. You might Google it or YouTube it to see, just to entertain yourself. I have no idea, but yeah, it's just, I like to entertain myself with that stuff. What can I say? Anyways, that's all I got for this week, and I'll be back when I get some numbers for October. As I said, I'm really interested to see how the fall goes, and yeah, we'll play it from there. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments, do get in touch. You can tell I'm tired and blah. You can email me if you like. I've had like 3 emails this week, which was really nice, and if you need any help buying or selling, do get in touch. I'm always happy to help. So that's it for me, and I will talk to you later. Bye bye.